Welcome to the glitz, the glamour, and the absolute chaos of the global music industry, where a single smile can trend worldwide and a hidden secret can shatter a billion-dollar empire in seconds. Have you ever stared at your favorite idol on a massive LED screen and wondered what happens when the stage lights go dark and the designer suits come off? We see the perfect choreography, the flawless skin, and the ethereal vocals, but behind the scenes, the industry is a high-stakes chessboard where love isn't just a feeling, it's a strategic asset. Imagine waking up to find yourself bound by a legal document to the most famous person on the planet. No, it's not a fanfic. It's a calculated, cold-blooded business move disguised as a fairy tale. But what happens when the contract starts to feel a little too real? Is it possible to fake a heartbeat for the cameras without losing your soul in the process? We're diving deep into the shadows of the spotlight to uncover the hidden costs of fame, the secret clauses that dictate true love, and the emotional roller coaster of living a lie that the whole world wants to believe in. Are you ready to peel back the curtain on the most expensive romance in history? Who is actually pulling the strings, and more importantly, who will be the first to break the contract and risk it all for a taste of freedom? Buckle up, because we're counting down the most intense, heart-wrenching, and jaw-dropping moments of a life caught between the script and the truth. Can you handle the reality behind the perfect idol image, or are you just another spectator in their beautifully orchestrated game? Let's find out. Number 7. Jungkook, The Golden Cage, A Heavy Crown, and the Silence of the Sweet. Imagine standing in the center of a stadium with 50,000 people screaming your name, their lightsticks creating a galaxy just for you, yet feeling like the loneliest person in the universe the second you step into the backseat of a tinted SUV. This is the paradoxical reality of the world's most beloved Maknae, the man who has everything but owns nothing, not even his own heartbeat. When we talk about a contract relationship, we often think of PR stunts or simple dating bans, but for someone like Jungkook, the stakes are cosmic. The narrative begins in a dimly lit, high-tech apartment in Hanamdong where the air smells like expensive cologne and the crushing weight of expectation. The contract wasn't just a piece of paper, it was a blueprint for a fabricated soul. You see, the industry doesn't just sell music, it sells the idea of accessibility, the dream that he could be yours. But what happens when a real person enters that vacuum? The detail in this arrangement is chilling. There are clauses specifying exactly how many centimeters apart you must stand in public to spark dating rumors without confirming them, and scripts for accidental mentions during live streams to keep the engagement metrics soaring. But beneath the tactical genius of the labels, there's a human being who started training at an age when most kids were just learning to navigate middle school. He grew up in front of a lens, meaning his authentic self is a mosaic of what the public demanded. When you enter a contract relationship with him, you aren't just dating a pop star, you're entering a high-security facility. Every dinner is a military operation with 3 decoy cars. Every whispered "I love you" has to be screened for potential microphones. The emotional reflection here is staggering because as the partner, you begin to see the cracks in the golden armor. You see the exhaustion that a 10-step skincare routine can't hide. You see the way he looks at a regular couple holding hands in a park with a mixture of confusion and intense longing, as if they are performing a ritual from a planet he's never visited. The facts are undeniable. His brand value is worth billions of won, meaning his heart is technically public property. If he falls in love for real, the stock market flinches. This isn't just a romance, it's a hostage situation where the kidnapper is the applause. We're talking about a man who can sell out a luxury car in minutes but can't buy a loaf of bread without a security detail of 6 men. The narrative deepens when you realize the contract was designed to protect him from the world, but it ended up protecting the world from the real him. As the days pass in this fake relationship, the lines blur. Is he holding your hand because the manager signaled from the bushes, or because he's terrified that if he lets go, he'll float away into the void of his own fame? The atmosphere is thick with the scent of rain on Seoul asphalt, and the hum of a refrigerator in a kitchen that's too clean because no one ever has time to cook. You find yourself wondering, if the cameras stopped rolling and the contract expired at midnight, would he even know how to stay? Or is he so used to being a character in a story that the real Jungkook has become a ghost in his own life? This is the high-velocity, high-glamour, and high-tragedy world of the top-tier idol. It's a glittering prison where the bars are made of platinum and the guards are the fans themselves. Are you prepared to be the one who holds the key, knowing that unlocking the door might destroy the very icon you've grown to love? The tension is unbearable, the luxury is suffocating, and the truth is hidden behind a $1,000,000 smile that doesn't quite reach the eyes. It's a masterclass in the art of the perfect lie, and we are all just witnesses to the most beautiful deception ever staged in the history of entertainment. Can you feel the weight of the silence after the music stops? That is where the real story begins. Number 6. V. The Velvet Mask, a masterpiece of melancholy and the architecture of the soul. Step into a world where every sigh is synchronized, and every glance is a brushstroke on a canvas that costs more than a private island. We are talking about Kim Tae-hyung, the man with the face that redefined modern beauty standards, a visual genius who operates on a frequency most humans can't even tune into. But behind that ethereal, almost feline gaze lies a contract so complex it feels like a labyrinth built of glass and secrets. Entering a relationship with V isn't just a romantic endeavor, it's like being recruited into a high-stakes art heist where the prize is his own hidden identity. The atmosphere is heavy with the scent of vintage jazz records, expensive sandalwood, and the lingering chill of a winter night in Paris. The contract here is unique. It's not just about PR, it's about aesthetic preservation. There are literally clauses that dictate the mood of your interactions to ensure they align with his Vant persona, wistful, mysterious, and profoundly deep. Imagine having to check a manual to see if you're allowed to laugh out loud, or if you should maintain a composed, soulful longing, because a paparazzo might be hiding in a tree 3 blocks away. This is the reality of the man who was once a farm boy dreaming of grand things, now trapped in a reality where his very presence is an event. As you sit across from him in a hidden underground jazz bar, the silence between you is filled with the weight of everything he isn't allowed to say. You start to realize that the V the world loves is a masterpiece he meticulously paints every morning, but the Tae-hyung who loves old movies and strawberry picking is a shadow kept in the basement of the big hit building. The detail is visceral, the way he fidgets with his rings when the script feels too tight, or the way his voice drops an octave when he's actually being sincere. The facts are cold, his influence is so vast that a single photo of his dog can shift global social media trends, yet he lives in a world where he has to ask permission to change his hair color. In this contract relationship, the emotional reflection is like looking into a cracked mirror. You see a man who is incredibly lonely despite being the most searched person on the planet. He treats the contract like a protective shield, a way to keep people at arm's length so they can't see the exhaustion behind the most handsome face in the world title. You find yourself wondering, as you walk through a rain-slicked Seoul street under a shared umbrella, if this is a scene from a movie or a genuine moment of connection. The tragedy of V's contract is that it's so well executed, even he starts to lose track of where the performance ends and his life begins. He's a soul trapped in a museum, and you're the only visitor who knows the exhibits are crying. The intensity of this point lies in the realization that his beauty is his greatest curse. It makes him an object to be possessed rather than a human to be known. Every date is a choreographed dance of shadows and light, designed to keep the fans guessing while keeping his true heart under lock and key. Can you survive being the muse for a man who is legally obligated to be everyone's dream, but can never be his own reality? It's a haunting, beautiful, and terrifyingly lonely place to be, right at the intersection of high art and heartbreak. Number 5, Jimin, the porcelain heart, the weight of perfection, and the ghost in the dance studio. Enter the world of the man who moves like water and shines like a supernova, yet carries the crushing weight of the entire world's expectations on his slender shoulders. Park Jimin is not just a performer, he is the embodiment of the idol ideal, a human being who has been refined, polished, and sculpted into a vision of grace that seems almost otherworldly. But when you sign that contract to be his partner, you aren't just stepping into a fairy tale, you're stepping into a high-pressure furnace where the heat never turns off. The atmosphere of this relationship is thick with the scent of hairspray, stage fog, and the metallic tang of sweat from a 14-hour dance practice. The contract with Jimin is perhaps the most emotionally taxing because it isn't just about public perception, it's about maintaining the ethereal devotion brand. There are clauses that specifically monitor his physical appearance down to the gram, and as his contractual partner, you are expected to be his emotional anchor while simultaneously remaining invisible. It is a hauntingly beautiful paradox. You see the facts that the cameras skip over. The way he practices a single 3-second move until his knees bruise, the way he skips meals because a camera lens might make his face look too round for a split second, and the way he constantly checks social media for validation like a man gasping for air. This is a man who was told he had to be perfect to be loved, and the contract reinforces that trauma every single day. The detail is heartbreaking. You'll find yourself sitting on the cold floor of a practice room at 3:00 a.m. watching him argue with his own reflection because he missed a beat that only he could hear. In this fake relationship, the emotional reflection is profound. You realize that Jimin doesn't just want to be the best, he is terrified of being less than. When he holds your hand under the table at a corporate dinner, his grip is desperate not just because of the contract, but because you are the only thing in the room that feels solid in a world of smoke and mirrors. He is a person who gives 200% of his soul to his fans, leaving him with a 0% reserve for himself. The tragedy here is that the contract demands he be the most loved, yet it denies him the ability to love himself. You become a witness to the ghost in the studio, the version of Jimin that is too tired to smile, too drained to speak, and too hollow to feel the luxury surrounding him. The intensity of this rank comes from the realization that his cuteness and charm, are a professional armor he wears to protect a very fragile, very human heart that is terrified of being forgot. Can you handle the guilt of being part of a scripted romance when you see him collapsing under the weight of his own crown? Every romantic post on Weverse is a calculated move by the label, but every tear he sheds on your shoulder when the lights go out is a cry for help that no contract can silence. It's a delicate, dangerous dance on the edge of a breakdown, wrapped in the most beautiful silk and lace the world has ever seen. Number 4, Jin, the Glass Fortress, the Comedy of Shadows, and the Duty of the Firstborn. Welcome to the world of the worldwide handsome architect, a man whose laughter echoes through grand hallways but whose eyes often tell a story of strategic sacrifice. Kim Seok-jin is the master of the confident mask, the one who uses humor like a shield to deflect the intrusive gaze of a global audience. But when you sign a contract to be the partner of the eldest member, you aren't just entering a romance, you are entering a high-stakes diplomatic mission. The atmosphere here is one of old-money elegance mixed with the sterile chill of a corporate boardroom. The contract with Jin is built on the foundation of stability and traditional virtue. There are clauses that dictate your public behavior to ensure you are the perfect match for a man who carries the reputation of his family and his company on his broad shoulders. Imagine having to attend etiquette classes just to make sure the way you hold a wine glass doesn't cause a dip in the stock price. This isn't just about love, it's about legacy. The detail is staggering, the way he switches from his legendary joke-telling persona to cold, calculating businessman the moment the camera light turns red. You see the facts that the public ignores. He is the one who stayed behind to make sure everyone else was fed, the one who buried his own anxieties to be the rock for 6 younger brothers, and the one who views fame not as a dream, but as a responsibility to be managed. In this contract relationship, the emotional reflection is deeply bittersweet. You realize that Jin's playfulness is often a distraction technique. When he brings you a bouquet of flowers in front of the dispatch photographers, it's a perfectly timed PR move, but when he stays up late playing video games in total silence next to you, that is the only real he has left. He is a man who understands the machinery of the industry better than anyone, and he plays the game with a terrifying proficiency. The tragedy of Jin's rank is the glass fortress effect. He has built a life so beautiful and transparent that everyone thinks they see everything, yet no one can actually touch him. You find yourself trapped in a luxury cage where every spontaneous date is actually scheduled 3 months in advance by a team of 20 people. The intensity comes from the moments when the mask slips, the way his expression flattens when he realizes he has to spend another holiday at a press event instead of with his family. He is the firstborn of a global phenomenon, and the contract ensures he stays in that role until the very end. Can you live with a man who is the master of his own public narrative, knowing that your love story is just another chapter in a meticulously edited biography? It's a world of 5-star dinners and silent car rides, where the laughter is loud but the heart is kept in a safe deposit box. Number 3, RM, the Library of Secrets, the Philosopher's Burden, and the Weight of 1,000 Words. Welcome to the inner sanctum of the leader, the man who carries the intellectual and moral compass of a global generation in his pocket. Entering a contract relationship with Kim Namjoon is like trying to navigate a deep, swirling ocean in the middle of a storm while pretending the water is perfectly still. The atmosphere here isn't one of flashy clubs or loud parties. It's the scent of old books, expensive dried ink, moss-covered statues in hidden museums, and the heavy electric air of a recording studio at 4:00 a.m. The contract for RM is the most intellectually demanding because it revolves around the intellectual icon brand. This isn't just about being a pretty couple. There are clauses that monitor your public discourse, the books you're seen carrying, and even the sophistication level of your social media captions to ensure they align with his persona as the world's most thoughtful leader. Imagine having to vet your own thoughts through a PR team because a single uninspired comment could tarnish the image of the man who spoke at the UN. The detail is mind-blowing. You see the RM who reads Kant and Hegel not just for fun, but as a way to find answers to the existential dread that comes with being the spokesperson for millions. You see the facts that the fans never witness, the way his hands shake slightly before a big speech, the way he destroys dozens of lyric sheets because he feels he's becoming too commercial, and the way he stares at a piece of modern art for hours, searching for a version of himself that isn't a commodity. In this fake relationship, the emotional reflection is profound and often painful. You realize that Namjoon is a man who is too big for the box the industry has put him in. He is a philosopher trapped in a pop star's schedule. When you walk with him through an art gallery, the security guards trailing 20 paces behind, you realize that every step is a negotiation between his desire to be a normal person and his duty to be RM. The tragedy of this rank is the loneliness of the leader. He is the bridge that everyone walks across, but no one ever stops to ask if the bridge is tired of holding the weight. The intensity of this narrative lies in the moments of contractual intimacy, those times when you have to pose for a deep, reflective photo together, but in reality he is miles away, lost in a poem he'll never publish. He is a man who knows the dictionary definition of every word, but struggles to find the ones that describe his own emptiness. Can you handle being the partner of a man who is a god to millions but a stranger to himself? You find yourself living in a world of high-concept metaphors and silent walks along the Han River, where the contract says you are his muse, but your heart knows you are just another footnote in a story he's lost control of. It is a brilliant, exhausting, and deeply melancholic existence where the truth is buried under layers of symbolism and the world is always watching, waiting for the leader to stumble so they can see if he's actually human. Number 2, J-Hope, the neon shadow, the architect of joy, and the engine that never idles. Step into the world of the man who is literally the hope of a global movement, a human sunbeam whose energy can light up a stadium of 80,000 people in a heartbeat. But have you ever wondered what happens when the sun sets and the batteries finally run dry? Entering a contract relationship with Young Hosak is like being strapped into the passenger seat of a Formula One car that is legally forbidden to slow down. The atmosphere of this rank is a dizzying mix of high-fashion street style, the smell of industrial-strength floor cleaner in dance studios, and the jarring silence of a luxury penthouse that feels more like a showroom than a home. The contract with J-Hope is uniquely intense because it centers on positivity maintenance. There are literally clauses that require you to maintain a vibrant, supportive energy at all times in public, because the brand of J-Hope cannot be associated with sadness, conflict, or even a bad mood. You are essentially signing up to be the co-pilot of a perpetual motion machine. The detail is visceral. You see the facts that would break a normal person, the way he drills a choreography sequence for 18 hours until his joints scream, only to walk into a dressing room and force a wide, heart-shaped smile for a camera crew he didn't know was there. You see the way he meticulously organizes his closet by color and brand, not because he's obsessed with fashion, but because it's the only part of his chaotic life he can actually control. In this fake relationship, the emotional reflection is like a punch to the gut. You realize that the sunshine persona is a professional obligation, a heavy mantle he puts on like a lead vest every single morning. When the contract mandates a romantic night out, it's a blur of neon lights and high-end sneakers, but the moment you're back in the elevator, the light leaves his eyes and he collapses into a ghost of himself. The tragedy of J-Hope's rank is the professional smile syndrome. He is so good at being everyone's hope that he has no one to be his own. You find yourself playing a role in a high-def music video where the colors are too bright and the music is too loud, and you start to wonder if he even knows what he feels anymore, or if his emotions are just another set of cues he's memorized. The intensity comes from the moments when he's too tired to perform, the way he sits in total darkness in his studio, staring at a blank monitor because the effort of being J-Hope has used up every spark of Young Hosak. Can you handle being the partner of a man who is a beacon for the world but a shadow in his own living room? It's a life of high-speed transitions and choreographed happiness where the contract demands a masterpiece of joy, but the reality is a quiet, desperate search for a single moment of genuine, unfilmed peace. Number 1, SUGA, the cold fire, the silent rebellion, and the ledger of 1,000 scars. Welcome to the summit of our countdown, a place where the air is thin, the whiskey is neat, and the truth is sharper than a razor's edge. If you thought the previous ranks were intense, you aren't prepared for the reality of Min Yoongi. Entering a contract relationship with the man known as Agus D isn't just a PR arrangement. It's a soul-binding pact with a man who has spent his entire life fighting ghosts, poverty, and a system that tried to break him before he even started. The atmosphere here is a stark departure from the neon lights of the others. It's the scent of old leather, the low hum of a computer server, the bitter taste of black coffee, and the suffocating stillness of a soundproof studio at 5:00 a.m. The contract for SUGA is the most chillingly pragmatic of them all. It is the authenticity paradox. The label knows that fans love him for being real, raw, and unfiltered, so your contract actually contains clauses that forbid overly sugary public displays of affection. You are legally required to maintain a composed, slightly distant, yet deeply bonded aesthetic. It is a masterpiece of psychological engineering. Imagine having to calculate your level of indifference so the world believes your love is too deep for words. The detail is hauntingly beautiful. You see the Min Yoongi that the cameras aren't allowed to touch, the man who still rubs his shoulder from an old injury when the weather gets cold, the man who saves every scrap of paper with a lyric idea because he's terrified of losing his voice, and the man who views the industry with a cynical, piercing gaze that sees through every lie. The facts are brutal. He has climbed from the streets of Daegu to the top of the Billboard charts, and he has the scars, both physical and mental, to prove it. In this fake relationship, the emotional reflection is absolutely devastating. You realize that Yoongi doesn't play games. He knows the contract is a lie, he knows the industry is a factory, and he treats the whole arrangement with a quiet, dignified disdain. But the intensity lies in the gray areas. When you are sitting in his studio, watching him meticulously layer a track for 10 hours without saying a single word, you realize that your presence is the only thing he hasn't turned into a song yet. The tragedy of number one is the soldier's solitude. He has fought so hard for his success that he doesn't know how to exist without a battle. You find yourself wondering, when he looks at you, does he see a partner or does he see another clause he has to fulfill? The atmospheric tension is peak on the spot, the slow burn realization that behind his "I don't care" attitude is a heart that feels things with such violent intensity it threatens to consume him. He is a man of few words, but his silence is deafening. The contract says you are his, but his soul belongs to the music, and there is no room for a third party in that marriage. Can you handle the weight of being the only person who sees the king without his crown, knowing that the crown is the only thing keeping him safe from the world? It is a relationship built on the edge of a volcano, quiet, dark, and potentially explosive. This is the ultimate contract, two people pretending to be together in a world that's pretending to be real, while the only thing that's actually true is the ticking of the clock in a room where the music never truly ends.